Penguin Random House Audio presents You Already Know, The Science of Mastering Your Intuition. This is the author, Laura Huang. Note to listeners, this audiobook includes a bonus PDF with charts and appendices from the book. For Baba, who taught me to listen to what whispers and not what screams. Preface. I was picking up my teenage son from basketball practice and watched the last few minutes. His coach, Deshaun, was doing a drill where he set the boys up 2-on-2. 2 boys on offense trying to score, 2 boys on defense trying to prevent them from scoring. The boys on offense were told that they were allowed 6 passes, and then they had a single opportunity to shoot and score. If they scored, they got a point. If they didn't score, they switched to defense and the other team got the ball. The other team would then get 6 passes and an opportunity to score. I watched with casual interest. My eyes shot open, however, when Deshaun started shouting at the boys midway through the drill. "Why do you think I gave you 6 passes? Why are you shooting after just 1 or 2 passes?" He paused, realized that none of the boys had an answer, and then continued. "Look, the first 1 or 2 passes, everyone, is just going on raw motions and guesses, and getting a sense for the experience of defending these guys." He went on, "The 3rd and the 4th passes, that's when you're starting to notice things, like the way your defender moves to a certain side and catches you off guard, or how he angles his body a certain way to fake you out, or tends toward a certain style of defense, or positions his feet facing the basket or not, or the way they support and flank each other or not. You're starting to pick up on their patterns and yours." My ears really perked up at this point. By the 5th or 6th pass, now you know them. You got them. You got what they're doing, what their deal is, where they have weaknesses. You're ready to predict, to act, and to shoot. And it's going to go in. That's what this book is about. You've already experienced the first 2 passes. It encompasses your background, what you've learned, absorbed, and accumulated over time, and everything you've lived through. You have the experience, the exposure. We're going to start noticing things in the 3rd and 4th passes, recognizing, diagnosing, and interpreting the information and data that is whispering to us, as well as regulating, mediating, and tempering the erroneous information that is screaming at us, so that by the 5th and 6th passes, we can intentionally activate our intuition and take action. We're going to activate it, predict it, act on it, and shoot. And it's going to go in. Introduction. In 2008, I began work on my PhD dissertation, which was titled A Theory of Investor Gut Feel, a test of the impact of gut feel on entrepreneurial investment decisions. I was curious about how investors really decide what startups to fund. Is it actually about the financials, the business model, the metrics, the hard data? Or as I suspected, do they just use their gut feel? What is their gut feel comprised of? Did the hard data reinforce their gut feel or interfere with it? How did their prior experience influence it? Gut feel was thought to be inexplicable and unquantifiable. Could I quantify the unquantifiable? I was told by dozens of esteemed scholars not to study this topic. It's a slang term, they said. It's an atheoretical line of questioning, they said. The academic equivalent of the worst insult you could sling at someone. Being atheoretical means that your work has no theoretical basis and is not founded on anything real. It's a paradox that can't be answered, they said. You'll never get a job. You'll never publish this work, they said. I decided to study it anyway. My wonderfully supportive advisor was the one notable exception to this group of naysayers. She told me these were worthy questions to pursue, and that if they were questions that I really wanted to study and answer, then haters be damned. She said, "Why even get a PhD if not to study a question that you really want to discover the answer to?" She had a gut feel, she later told me. I began by interviewing investors on how they make their investment decisions. For a long time, I didn't mention the term gut feel at all, partly because I was still twice bitten and multiple times shy, but mainly because I wanted to see if they would use or allude to the term without my prompting. Even I didn't expect every single investor to gloss over the hard data, information in the form of financials, business models, and any sort of analysis in written form, so quickly and so fluidly, and discuss how their gut feel drove their decisions. That opened up different types of questions. When did they invest in a startup because they just had a feeling, even when all the hard data told them that it looked like a bad deal on paper? When did they choose not to invest in a particular startup because they had sneaking suspicions, even when all the hard data pointed to a unicorn? The interviews led to inductive theories, which developed into grounded theories, which were tested in field experiments and longitudinal field studies. Translation: I did a ton of work, and my husband would wake up to hear me muttering about gut feel in my sleep for years. The full dissertation, including all the methodology, can be accessed online. I won't be offended by anyone who doesn't take me up on this. When I completed the dissertation in 2012, there were a few significant findings that jumped out at me. First, investor gut feel was experience-based. It was uniquely personal and individual, and could not be replicated or passed down from person to person, which means something important. Once these investors tried to explain their gut feel to someone else, to justify the logic underlying it, they would essentially talk themselves out of the right decision. Being able to intuit is a skill built up over years of personal experience. But second, it was informed by data and analytical information. The rich interaction between personal experience and external data produced an outcome. Gut feel was actually the impulse at the end of this process, which was based on both thinking and feeling, rather than being based on rapid, non-conscious compulsion, as much of prior literature suggested. What investors called their gut feel was the final result of an elaborate intuiting process that was rooted in dynamic, expertise-based emotion cognitions, experience and data, specific to the entrepreneurship context. In other words, data was certainly a factor in the intuiting process, but by the time they had a gut feel, the data had already been so neatly folded into their emotional experiences that it no longer appeared to be just data, or even neutral information. Instead, it helped them make sense of and was claimed as personal reflections. Much like drinking an enjoyable iced tea on a hot day, we understand that there were once solid granules of sugar dissolved in water, but we just enjoy the refreshing liquid beverage as a whole. It's here where I answered a question that had been nagging at me for some time. Is there a difference between intuition and gut feel? The answer is a resounding yes. Intuition is the process that leads to a final moment of recognition that we call our gut feel. The process and the outcome are distinct. Some might say, but isn't this just a question of semantics? Couldn't one argue that intuition is also the end result of the intuiting process? In which case, intuition and gut feel would be synonymous. After all, intuition and gut feel are terms often used interchangeably in both research studies and everyday conversation. Both are part of our verbiage and nomenclature. The psychology of intuition is often referred to in the science of judgment and decision-making, whereas its practical application is expressed as trusting your gut feel.
Sample complete. Ready to continue?